and third generation, how can we raise awareness to them, you know? And then I think...
Why is this important, this awareness?
It is because if those younger generation, the 25ers, you know, or even younger, don't take that over from the parents, you know, then there is no Indo identity anymore.
Welcome to Uzo Indo from out of the country. I'm in the US right now. I'm in New York, and I got the idea to interview some people who are like in quarantine at home right now because of this corona situation. That's why I'm making this video and have this idea. And actually, I had this idea for a longer time to just interview people via video calling. So this is my first attempt, and my first guest is... But before I introduce you to him, because he will be online in a minute, my name is Armando Ello, and I am the initiator and the website maker of uzoindo.nl. It's a Dutch website about Indo-European descendants in the Netherlands, and I'm trying to attempt to make this more international. That's why I'm speaking in English to you right now. I will also do these interviews in Dutch in these series, because not everybody can do English very well, but maybe I can translate that. But I wanted to make it more international because of the project which I'm doing right now. So Uzo Indo is a blog, and there is a project going on, and the project right now I'm doing is the Indo World Photo Project. And I did many interviews as well for this project. I am doing also a crowdfunding at the moment to finance these books at the end of my trip. And this is almost the end of my trip, because I think it's very interesting to know what things are playing in the lives of Indo-Europeans outside of the Netherlands. And I've been to Australia, I've been to America, I've been to the Dutch Antilles, all over the place. And now I am in New York, and I'm going to call Michal Passage. I know him for a while. I'm not sure where did we meet, but hey, let's find out. Let's see if it's online. So I resumed the recording again, and here we are. At the left side of me, we have Michal Passage. And I was saying, like, I don't remember anymore where we first met. Do you remember?
We met, of course, online, and then first time physically was in Delft at what's the name of the cafe from? I forgot the name. That Indo Cafe.
Plan B.
Yeah, that's where we physically met, and then of course several times afterwards, and then at the studio for the photo shoot and for that's. Yeah, and then every time we missed each other. Same thing when I'm in Holland, you are not there, or vice versa.
Yeah, I know. It was a very nice meeting because I of course, I know you from Facebook.
Yeah.
And, because you live in South California, there are many Indos there.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of Indos in California. I didn't have the chance to pass by your place, unfortunately. But I'm still glad we could do this interview like live right now.
Yeah.
And I remember the first meeting was really nice. It was in Plan B in Delft.
Plan B, there you go. Yeah.
And it was a really good meeting because you already have a pretty big network. There were lots of people which you gathered, and also you brought me a T-shirt from SoCal Indo.
Yeah.
Many Indos would recognize this.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But how do you hold up, man, with this these times, with these crises?
What happened, Armando?
Yeah, how have you been holding up these days?
These days, you know what? It's especially in the US, you know. It's been really, you see the difference, especially in LA. You've been there 2 months ago or a month ago. You see how crazy traffic is to get from A to B. But now, if you go on the similar freeways, it's dead. Basically, just just Google for pictures or from. It's really you notice it. Usually it takes for me 45 minutes to get to work, and yesterday I did it in 25 minutes. It's you notice it, and then the supermarkets and everything. It's yeah,
Crazy
it's
times, huh?
yeah, for sure, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what are you doing right now?
Right now I just came back. We live really good here, close to the mountains, so we've been hiking, and I just got back.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, but you still go outside? You're not like, oh, I'm staying in quarantine right now?
it's just no. What they say, social distancing. It's. I think if you just do what you've always been doing, I mean, I myself always took the habit. Now we go back to an Indo habit. You know what Oma used to say? Hey, altijd handen wassen. Wash your hands always before you go to eat. After eating, I remember, when you go out to the supermarkets, you sit in public. Oma used to say, hey, take off your clothes and put something. Hey, it's those habits. Same thing now. I've always been doing that. Especially so. Be more cautious now. So yes, there's a lot of people outside, but you don't walk next to them. You just keep distance, and that's my opinion. You should take it very seriously, though. What's going on? But yeah, no, I'm not staying. I'm not staying home all day. I can't.
No.
I can't.
You recognize that Indos are very good and hygienic. Like I do always wash my hands.
Yeah.
Even though I do an interview, I take pictures of people who are.
Yeah.
So I just go to the kitchen and wash my hands. But I must say I've perfected my technique with washing hands.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching a few new videos and now they are even cleaner. So
It
let me ask more about your own heritage. I think that's a good idea. So you want to plug in your phone?
No, it's okay. I still have enough.
All right.
Yeah.
So can you introduce yourself in the first place, maybe for
Sure.
What you do as an occupation?
Yeah.
Then where your grandparents are from.
Perfect. So my name is Michal Passage. I made the decision to move from Belgium, the Netherlands in 2002. And I moved to SoCal, so Los Angeles, and then for those who know Los Angeles, Sun Valley. Back then I wasn't involved in our heritage yet here, back home, and I grew up in Belgium in a small town village in Dessel, the northern part of Belgium. And growing up in the 70s, there was no Indo people there. That's what I thought, but thanks to social media, living in the US, Facebook came up, when was it? 2009, 8, 9, and then you start looking like many did for your identity, because in Belgium I wasn't Dutch, I wasn't Indonesian, what was I, and then especially then in the 70s, it was very hard for a local village to place me. Am I African? No. Am I no? So it was really hard. Don't get me wrong, I love it, and it's still home for me when I go back, Yeah. But then,
were you born in Belgium?
In Dordrecht. I was born in Dordrecht.
Okay, yeah.
Same day, same year as Koning Willem-Alexander, 27 April 67. But then, and I wrote it also in different magazines. It was the typical Indo thing in Holland. The Indo homes and towns live in high rises and flats, And then on the weekends they came to us in Belgium because we had a house with a big yard, and this is something every Indo can share, All the Amsterdammers come, they bring their own food, My mom is cooking. We grew up with country music, Elvis, rock and roll. And then there was the other part in the room. Amsterdammers were playing pentol or those bingo cards, And then there was always something going on every weekend. You wake up.
We're talking about Belgium, right?
Yeah, in Belgium, yeah. Because
there is actually like the family gathering was LG. You grew up in Belgium with the Indo culture, you're saying?
I did, for sure, 100%. I see my dad is the Indo part in the family, and I always thought I was it's hard, you know. I mean, and most likely you're gonna cut this, you know. But in the U.S., I always say I'm Dutch Indonesian because when I say I'm Indo, they don't get it. They don't get the definition of Indo like you and I, and all of us know what Indo means in the Netherlands. But here, if you say Indo, they think, oh, you're Indonesian. I said, yes, part because Indonesian people call themselves also Indo in the US and Americans too. Oh, these are Indos. But for us, we are Indo-European. So my dad is the one who has the mixed blood. Passage is a French name, and I just found out from my tante that I'm Belgian. From Oma's side. So my dad's, my opa's mother was Belgian. She was married to a Belgian, his name Passage, and then my oma, my father's mother, is Indonesian Chinese.
Your father's mother,
yeah. So that's the mixed part, and my mother is Manadonese, so she's 100% Indonesian.
So your father is actually first generation Indo.
Yeah. That's correct.
Where was he born? In which year?
That was. I always mention this, you know, and because I grew up with those typical Indo slangs, you know. Een typisch jongen, een jongetje van voor de oorlog, jongetje van voor de Japanse tijd. He was born in 1933 in Chirobon. Before the Japanese occupation, that's why they almost say, oh, een jongetje van voor de oorlog. In Chirobon, and then my opa, he had was a tea, or I think it was a tea factory in Sukabumi. So it's mid Java, Central Java.
Yeah,
so,
I've been there. It's like in the north, in the middle of Java. Oh yeah. Cirebon and what is
Sukabumi and Cianjur. Yeah.
Right. But your opa is like Chinese.
No, my father. So my father's father, my opa, is Mr. Passage. He's Indo-European. The Belgian side. And then my opa was married to an Indonesian Chinese, Mrs. Tung, T-U-N-G. It's a very common Chinese name. I sell vehicles, I sell cars, and when people fill out an application and it happens to be Chinese, and I see the last name Tung, I always mention that, and then they can't believe me. I have 2 wayang puppets on my desk at work, and I do that, so it's an icebreaker. Because, hey, what is that? Where is it from? From Indonesia. Oh, are you? I said no, and then I explain my history, you know, and then I also do that with the Asians, the Chinese customers. I say, you know what? Believe it or not, but I have part. My oma was Indonesian Chinese, second generation.
Yeah. So you were telling me like you grew up like with the Indo culture in Belgium. So actually, it was always like inherited in your growing up, right?
For sure, 100%. It is, and I'm thankful, you know, that I was brought up that way, with respect, you know, and I deserved once in a while back then when I was a little boy a good ass whooping, you know, because it's old school. I mean, don't talk back to your parents, to your grandparents, you know. I was one of the victims, college victims, that has put a lot of sambal in the mouth because I was talking back to my dad. I've had many times that I didn't listen, that I got to, you know, ass whooping, you know, and typical things.
Yeah, although because many of us like are growing up with this Indo culture back at home, but sometimes we don't know where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
So how do your parents? What did they told you about their history and where they're from and about Dutch Indies? What did they give you, like, knowledge on that part?
This, you know what? My mom never spoke about it, and my mom just passed away in July last year. And then when I was cleaning up her apartment, I found a lot of documents because she got I call it in victims of the war in Holland. they got a monthly,
Yeah,
kind of,
you mean
yeah,
the big payments?
yeah. So my mom was one of those who got the benefits from the Dutch state because she was a casualty of war, and then to get that, you need to see a psychologist, and he or she decides of his or her patient gets that. And I read that book. The book is about this thick, about 150 pages. So the story of a mother's life is in there. So the first page that I read, it's like many Indo women have been through this. Some of them were born in the camps, some were raised in the camps during the Japanese occupation. My mom was raised in, even though she was not Dutch or Indo, but she was my mom was a light-skinned Indonesian woman.
Sorry,
Manado,
okay.
My mom was very light-skinned.
Right.
So women from Manado are known, the really pale and light-skinned, So they saw her as a Dutch lady. That's why they put her in the camp with the tante. And
But
so
you're saying like that she was not Dutch?
No, my mom was Manadonese. From Manado. Yeah, she's Indonesian.
The white skin.
Yeah, but women from Manado are very very few. No, many of the Manadonese women are very light skinned.
Yeah.
So the Dutch took her for. The Japanese took her for Dutch. That's why she got into the camps with her tante. So the stories I've been reading in her report, were terrible. So that's why she never spoke about that. It was always my dad who raised me. He said, no, you're not Belgian, you're not Dutch. Je bent geen Belg, you're een Hollander. You're Indo. So from at a younger age, he already taught me what is my heritage, where do I come from, So he was always there. All the habits, like we Indos, we eat rice with a spoon and a fork. All the things what you now see online on the social media, like Indos we like, for example, you see all the typical things recognizable when I was growing up. It is like asking that how come Indos like country music and rock and roll, and then he tells me, well, back in the days, we had radio over there, and we were listening to the American music station, and so it's something that has been and those and Hawaiian music. It's something that goes back to the Dutch East Indies and all the other things like taking shower twice a day. It's something that our parents, your and my parents, brought to the Netherlands, and then that's something as a child. It's something for using baby powder, bedak. Typical thing. It's from ever I was a child, I've been using that, and so many things. Yeah, it's old school, but the bottle chebok. It's something. All these little things, and I'll be right back. Yeah. Look, I was in Holland last month, and of course we know Marion Bloem. I was at the presentation of her book. The Indo. I read. So many things are so familiar with all other Indo people who will be watching us now, what she's going through, and then but it has been put in me. I was raised with those habits thanks to my dad. My dad really raised me, my mother too, but when it comes to the war times, it was my dad who spoke and still talks to me about that if I have a question, because my dad is still alive.
Yeah.
But it's, and then, like I said, raised in Belgium.
Yeah.
There is no connection with Indonesia because it's in the Netherlands, because it used to be a colony from the Netherlands. So it was always the folks coming from the Netherlands every weekend to us in Belgium, So, and you grew up with that week, monthly, yearly, It is something, and it's very nice. And now this little booklet, the Indo, it is something that you can find in not in every Indo household, but the first generation Indos. You see this, and this is also coming from SoCal, from Southern California.
Yes.
It's Meneer Kruisberg who does this and is still doing it.
goes back. I know this leaflet because
Yeah,
this is a very important leaflet in international America. Like this
yeah,
going international because many Dutch people are also first generation Dutch people also have a membership on this the Indo.
yeah,
And I think this one is very important because it ties those people who are living outside of the Netherlands as
yeah.
well. And I also want to contact him as well for a little interview if he's available.
Yeah.
One moment.
He, like it's a beautiful thing with this booklet because the first generation, not all of them are computer savvy or know how to use social media, and they still use this, and so they write stories from the Dutch East Indies, and then he is publishing it. So and then they read this, because like I said, they don't know how to use social media.
Like actually the Muslim
Yeah,
from outside of the country.
yeah, there you go.
And Muslim is an Indo magazine for people who don't know.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to ask you because we were derailing a little bit. You were discovering a lot about your mother like last year.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Because the whole your life you were actually not fed up, but brought up by your father with the Indo culture. But then your mother, how is that? What did it do to you?
My mom, so it's wrong. So my mom was born in Dutch East Indies as a native because she was Indonesian, but when they moved from Indonesia to the Netherlands and then we stayed 3 years in a pension and then we moved to Belgium, I was brought up by both my parents, so in our Indo way, with the Indo habits. But it was most like my dad was more the one who kept the Indo culture alive in me.
Right.
And that's what you want to ask, right? Or
yeah, but also your mother, because you were discovering things last year from your mother that you read.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the things that I read in the report from my mom, these were things. So basically, my mom's life from the beginning, from her birth until the day she died, it has always been miserable. She was. And I think many people who've been in the same position like mom can talk about it. I mean, when you grew up with violence and crimes and war crimes, it's a trauma for the rest of your life, and my mom never spoke about it, and typical every time when she sees cockroaches, she starts screaming, and now I understand, because when I read the report, it was just because when she was 12 to 5 years old, she was basically dumped with her dead aunt, in a small in a small space with 3 other dead bodies, and then of course there were cockroaches, and then as a child, and then when the war was over, then she was put by herself on a boat with other Dutch to the Netherlands. It was the first. One of the first, and then she ended up in a foster family in Utrecht, and she was sexual abuse and everything, and then back. I mean, if I read it, it's a book on itself, and therefore, I when I was growing up in Belgium, I've seen my mom going from one hospital to the other, and then finally the doctor told her, you should first end you finish your past, so go back to Indonesia. And then my mom go back to Indonesia because that's where she was happy, like most other Indo people who were forced to leave Indonesia, and then even though they wanted to stay there, they born, grew up over there, and then that's how I always grew up with other ooms and tantes, because my dad had to work, my mom was in Indonesia. And then
For how long did she go to Indonesia? I assume she went back to Manado.
Yeah, Manado, Jakarta, and then because that's how she could deal with her past and end it, And
did she?
And then when you go to one Indonesian of Indo family to other, it's something that we have in common. It's only the first generation who stays tight, who's still into rock and roll and country music, but that's it. So there's other endos here who do this together with me, try to organize those kumpulan's, you know, but we have more success with the older endos, the first generation endos, than with the second and third generation. How can we raise awareness to them, you know? And then I think,
why is this important, this awareness?
It is because if those younger generation, the 25ers, you know, or even younger, don't take that over from the parents, you know, then there is no Indo identity anymore. That's special. And the Netherlands, yes, it will always be tight. It will survive in the Netherlands. But outside the Netherlands, you've been in Australia, you've been everywhere. It's only a handful who's happy to meet you and then talk about their Indo being, you know. But if there's not another you, another person who is involved with this, then same. I would have never stood still by the idea, is there a red Indo? Never, until you come up with that book, Red Indos. I would never. Yes. No way.
Yeah, no, you're referring to my project Rambut Jagung about red-haired Indos, and well, I do agree, of course, but sometimes I ask myself, like, why is this important that we want to keep this Indo identity alive?
Oh, why is you know, being, and then if this is something you definitely have to show, being Indo is not something that you are born with that feeling, you know. It's hard to describe, you know, and it can bring up emotions in you. It's something, and that's something that overcomes you, that needs to be brought over to the next generation. And how can you do that? It's just by stories, yes, by food, by I don't know. I can't find a word. It's something that overcomes you. If I hear, it's a stupid thing, but if I hear Wieteke van Dort singing those in those songs, you know, and then I look at the wall. This is a typical thing that is part of our Indo household. A painting, you know, with the kampung, and then with the tuka, with 4 or 5 ducklings, you know, and you know, that is part, you know, and then just by looking at it, you know, emotions come up, you know, because I've never been in Tempo Dulu, I wasn't born, but the stories that you get from your parents, from your opa and oma, everything was so nice. I mean, you've been in Indonesia, I've been in Indonesia. If you come in Indonesia and then the doors of the plane open, you smell the tropics, and then at night you hear the sounds of the tukang sate, tok tok tok, or whatever, you know. That's something you have to be there to understand. And then can you imagine when your parents or grandparents tell stories how peaceful life was back then in the Dutch East Indies? That is something. That's the awareness that I like. Hey, you can't describe it. It's and then I know how it feels. You know, we've been there. You know, and that's something. Just by stories now, and by reading books from, for example, Marion Bloem, or from Griselda Molemans, and so many other Indo writers about then, you know, and about the culture, you know. If you don't, then it will die, for sure. And the Netherlands, no, I'm not worried about the Netherlands, because I think the Netherlands still is very tied with Indonesia, you know. And what I experience here in SoCal, the Indos here are more tied to the Netherlands versus towards Indonesia. That's my opinion. I mean, in the Netherlands, every 6 months when I go back, you know, I see, you know, of course we have the Passamal, Tong Tong Fair. There is the connection with Indonesia and us Indos, but here there's still more a link to. They're more proud to say I'm Dutch versus Indonesian. You know, there is still mixed feelings about Indonesia, but you see more, hey, I'm Dutch. And you see that when, for example, when there's football, soccer, you know, you see how the patriotism of the Dutch in us, you know, comes out, you know, and so many other things. So that's what I notice over here. Versus in the Netherlands, there's still a good connection with Indonesia.
do you have maybe something you would add on the interview?
Oh, it's. I would only say, proud. Be proud what you are. It's. I am happy. I'm blessed that my parents raised me with the real Indo family values. It's something. No, it's. What can I add? It's. Be proud to say, hey, I'm Indo. That's for sure. And if people ask, what is it? There you go again. In America, you say, I'm Dutch Indonesian because you say Indo. It's and then Amerindos is a nice word. We are in America. We are Indos, so we are Amerindos.
Yeah.
Indo born in America, and then Dutch Indo. Yes. Apparently, I'm not. I mean, yes, I have a Dutch passport and I have a U.S. passport, but back in the days, if you were born in Dutch East Indies, you were just an onderdaan. You were an Europeaan. You were not Dutch. You were an Europeaan. So it could be a British, and then the Worthington is a typical Indo name with an English name. Aspire. There's many Aspires. Indos, German. Passage, French. Veenstraat, a name from Friesland, but it's an Indo. It's. So that's the nice thing. So you will always, and this will always be, 20 years when you see a colored guy or girl with the name Veenstra, that's an Indo. That's the only way how you can recognize, even for them not knowing, but we know that last name, and you're definitely not white, you're colored, you're Indo, and that's the nice thing. It will always be, we don't have to wear a t-shirt with SoCal Indo or with Indo, but if you wear a Nike t-shirt and you have a last name Veenstra and you're my color, you're Indo. And that's the whole thing. It's a nice thing of it.
Michael, I want to thank you for this interview. It was interesting. I think it's even more interesting than the first time I would interview this, because you had a very insightful answers also about your parents, and
I'm happy you're doing this, for a younger generation, and I can't wait for that book for the red haired Indos, because that is I've never seen one, never. But you told me there's one in LA, I know most of the Indos here and SoCal, but very interesting.
They are hidden, and she told me that she was going to this Dutch Holland fair.
Yeah,
and she also went again, so you might have seen her already. But she's very aware of her heritage. I will show you when it comes out, hopefully if it comes out. So
yeah, no, please do what you're doing. You have our support from here, and again, if there was no social media, a lot of people would have known about your project, but it's really good, happy, and then we're always there to help, man.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.